Russell Westbrook is one of the most entertaining and polarizing players in NBA history. He's had super high ups and not some great downs in his career, but overall, like it or not, a certified Hall of Famer that has been an inspiration and fan favorite to many around the world. Of course, we associate him mainly with one team, as the past few years he has bounced around, donning many other uniforms. But a stop you may forget, you would at first think it was a down point considering where he was playing, but it was actually one of the best moments of his career. Today, we're going to talk about and remember the legend of Washington Wizard, Russell Westbrook. All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Very, very excited for this video today. You clicked on the video, you know what this is about. We're talking about Russell Westbrook on the Wizards back in 2021. This idea I had for a little minute, and I'm so happy that I finally get to make the video. It took a lot of research and clips and all that stuff to find, but we're going to be talking about the legend of Washington Wizard Russell Westbrook and how fun of a time that was. So sit back, relax. It's going to be a long video, so you can enjoy the full, narration and documentary of Wizards Russell Westbrook here today. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Link to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And once again, it's going to be a long video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. So let's not waste any more of your time and get right into it. To start this journey, we have to go back and explain a lot. Russell Westbrook was drafted 4th overall in the 2008 NBA draft by the new Oklahoma City Thunder, who were in their first season after moving from Seattle. Coming into the league, he was a young guard with elite athleticism and a ferociousness in his game that was different from many others. After a really solid first 2 seasons in the NBA, his 3rd season is where he would jump out. In 2011, all of his numbers jumped off, as he made his first All-Star team and All-NBA second team on an OKC team that won 55 games and made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. In 2012, he would take another step forward, as a 23-year-old averaged over 23.5 points per game while making the All-Star team and All-NBA second team for the 2nd year in a row, while also getting MVP and Defensive Player of the Year votes, as the young Thunder would finish 2nd in the West. He would average 23-5-6 in the postseason and help them make the NBA Finals, where they lose to the Miami Heat. He continued to play well in 2013 and 14. Then, in 2015, with his partner in crime, reigning MVP Kevin Durant only playing 27 games due to injury, Westbrook would get his first chance to be the number 1. He exploded to win the NBA scoring title, averaging 28 points per game with career highs all across the board, with 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals, recording 11 triple-doubles this year in a season where he showed that he could be a superstar as well. But, unfortunately, the Thunder would miss the postseason. Durant would return in 2016, and while his scoring numbers would drop, the impact Russ made was still incredible, averaging almost 8 rebounds and almost 10.5 assists per game with 2 steals, while helping OKC win 55 games. They made it back to the Western Conference Finals and faced the reigning champion Golden State Warriors, who just had the greatest regular season ever, winning 73 games and had the unanimous MVP in Stephen Curry. The Thunder would show they could hang and even be better than the Dubs, taking a 3-1 series lead after a 24-point victory in Game 4. Then, the tides turned. The Warriors had a big 4th quarter to win Game 5 despite Russ and KD combining for 71. Then, Klay Thompson would have an historic 41 points in Game 6 to send the series to a Game 7 back in Golden State. In Game 7, OKC would struggle in the second half, and led by Steph's 36, the Warriors would win, coming back from down 3-1 to stun the Thunder. This was a devastating loss for OKC, as they hadn't made it to the finals since 4 years prior, and just being 1 win away from taking out maybe the greatest team ever, but couldn't get it done. After the 2016 season, Kevin Durant was heading into free agency, with a lot of rumors up in the air on where he wanted to go. On July 4th, 2016, Kevin Durant shocked the world, signing with the Golden State Warriors, the team that had just blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals, the team that just had the greatest regular season of all time with the reigning back-to-back MVP, and the team that had just eliminated them the year before. This was devastating for the Thunder, just losing maybe the greatest player in their franchise history and not being able to capitalize on having this historic duo, and lost him to a team that realistically didn't even need him. A lot of people looked at Russell Westbrook. Now, without Durant, who had been aside him his whole career except that one chunk of a season, he had to be the face of the franchise. Many changes came to OKC that season, as most of the team from the early runs in the 2010s were gone, as he and Nick Collison were the only 2 players left over from the finals team in 2012. They brought in some guys, but clearly, the roster was not anywhere near the championship contender that the Thunder had. A lot was on Russ's shoulders, and we were going to see what he could do with it. In 2017, Russell Westbrook had one of the most historic seasons ever. Game after game, he would put on ridiculous performances, doing it everywhere, all around the court, and carrying this team farther than what people expected it would be. Russ became a household name in the league. You could make the case he was the best player in the league that season. Some of these games were actually nuts. In just the second game of the season, he had 51 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists in an overtime win over the Suns. The game against the Magic on November 13th, he had 41, 12, and 16. Another game against the Suns in December, he had 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 22 assists. A 3-game stretch from December 19th to December 23rd with stallions of 46, 11, and 7, 42, 10, and 7, and 45, 11, and 11. The game in January against Houston, where he dropped 49, 8, and 5. He had a 6-game stretch from February 26th to March 7th, where he averaged 44 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Near the end of the season, he had a streak of 7 straight games with a triple-double. In the second to last game of the season, against the Denver Nuggets, he had his ultimate moment. This game was big, as it would eliminate the Nuggets from playoff contention with a loss. But also with a triple-double, it would secure Russ with the most triple-doubles in a season, and doing something that no one would thought would ever be done again, averaging 1 for an entire season. Westbrook started with 6, 5, and 3 in the first quarter, then scored 17 points with 7 rebounds and 3 assists in the second to enter the half with a 23-point, 12-board double-double, needing 4 more assists for the triple-double as OKC trailed by 1. He dished out 3 assists in the third, 1 shy of the record. He would finally get it with just over 4 minutes left, kicking out to Samaje Cristhian for a corner 3 and cemented his season with that. But there was more to be done. Russ took over, dropping 18 points in the fourth quarter to keep the game tight. Then, with 3 seconds to go and the Thunder down 2.
Thunder is out of timeouts. Adams gives it back to Russ. Deep shot! Get it! What a perfect ending to a historic day! Westbrook gives the Thunder the victory at the buzzer!
Russell Westbrook would not only get the triple-double record with a 50-point game as well, but break the hearts of the Denver Nuggets, sending them home early with no chance of getting a playoff appearance. He would have finished the season with averages of over 31.5 points, which led the league, along with 10 rebounds and 10 assists with almost 1.5 steals. He would win the NBA MVP award while making All-NBA First Team for the second consecutive year, while leading OKC to the 6th seed in the West. They would match up with the guy that Russ was competing with for the MVP award and his former teammate, James Harden, in the Houston Rockets. Westbrook tried his hardest, but unfortunately, Thunder were outmatched, losing in 5 games despite him averaging 37, 11, and almost 11 assists with 2.5 steals per game in the series. In the summer before 2018, OKC would invest in Russ, as he just showed that he can lead a team to the playoffs and be a true number 1 option. They would acquire All-Star Paul George after he requested a trade out of Indiana, then acquire All-Star Carmelo Anthony after the Knicks decided to go a different and younger direction. They also cashed Russ out, giving him a 5-year, $206 million contract. It was an interesting big 3 that many people were excited about, as maybe it could push OKC back to what it was not too long ago. They had a solid season, finishing 48 and 34 as Russ would average a triple-double again, becoming the first player ever to do it multiple times, showing that is just who Russell Westbrook is now. He averaged 25 points, 10 rebounds, and led the league with over 10 assists per game, doing it all for OKC. Unfortunately, this new team wouldn't see much success, as they surprisingly were defeated by the Utah Jazz in the first round led by rookie Donovan Mitchell. Westbrook averaged 29, 12, and 7 in the series, including a 45, 15, and 7 Game 5 to keep the series alive, and 46, 10, and 5 on 43 shot attempts in the elimination Game 6. After that season, OKC would trade Carmelo Anthony to the Houston Rockets and would extend Paul George, giving him a 4-year, $137 million contract to keep the duo of him and Russ around in OKC for a very long time. They shuffled the deck around a little bit with the supporting cast and hoped this could make OKC better. During this season, something changed with the Thunder. Paul George was having a great season, and Russ looked like he was deferring to PG, letting him be the number 1 and take control while Russ took care of everything else. It worked out great, as George had the best season of his career and finished 3rd in the MVP voting while OKC won 49 games. Russ averaged just under 23 points per game, his lowest since 2014, but for the 3rd season in a row, averaged a triple-double. Truly unprecedented stuff. He led the league in assists for the 2nd year in a row with over 10.5, as he also got MVP votes and made All-NBA 3rd team. They would face the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round, where Westbrook would have a tough shooting series, shooting just 36% from the field and 34% from 3 while getting outplayed by Damian Lillard, who averaged 33 points per game in that series and capped it off with this.
To send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range 3, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
For the 3rd season in a row, the Oklahoma City Thunder were eliminated in the opening round, and no one knew where to go. Would they just run it back and hope next year's the year they break through? Can they afford to try to get another star with all the money they have tied into their top two? Everyone was interested to see what the move was.
Ladies and gentlemen, the deal apparently is done. Kawhi Leonard has made his decision, and he's heading to LA. But it's the Clippers, not the Lakers, who are getting the top NBA free agent. That according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Now listen to this. To land Leonard, the Clippers also made a deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder for Paul George. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. Per the report, the Thunder will get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari. OKC also gets 4 unprotected first-round picks, a protected first-rounder, and 2 pick swaps.
On July 10th, 2019, the Thunder traded Paul George to the LA Clippers in exchange for Danilo Gallinari, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and a multitude of draft capital, teaming George up with the reigning Finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard, forming an amazing duo in LA. This shocked the world, as George just had the best season of his career and signed an extension in OKC just a year ago, only to now be gone and teaming up with maybe the best player in the world at the time in Kawhi in Los Angeles. But with the package they got back, which was a lot of draft capital and a young lottery pick in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who showed flashes in his rookie season, it looked like OKC was heading towards a rebuild.
The breaking news in the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder have traded their star, Russell Westbrook, to the Houston Rockets. The report coming from ESPN, in exchange, first-round picks in 2024 and 2026, plus pick swaps in 2021 and 2025, plus point guard Chris Paul.
6 days after trading George, the OKC Thunder sent their franchise legend Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Chris Paul and 4 first-round draft picks. The Westbrook era in OKC was over, being arguably their greatest player ever, holding many records for them and bringing a new life into Oklahoma City, where he gave them everything. But now, it was time for a new chapter in Houston. For the Rockets side of things, they had James Harden, who they acquired in 2013 from the Thunder when contract negotiations didn't work out between James and OKC. Harden came to Houston and exploded, turning from one of the best 6 men in the league to one of the best overall players in the league. He became an all-star, all-NBA player, and turned the Rockets into a consistent playoff team, including some 50-plus win seasons. In the summer of 2017, he made a huge trade, sending a huge package to the Clippers to acquire star point guard Chris Paul, pairing 2 of the best guards in the NBA together. In this first year as a duo, Houston won 65 games, being an absolute dominant offense led by Harden and Paul having amazing seasons. They got all the way to the conference finals, where they matched up with the Golden State Warriors, who had KD. After winning a close Game 4 and Game 5, Houston held a 3-2 series lead, just 1 win away from taking out this hated super team and heading to the finals. Unfortunately, they would have to complete this task at not a full 100%. Chris Paul would get injured in the final minutes of their Game 5 victory, straining his hamstring and wouldn't be able to go in Game 6. Houston got blown out by 30. In Game 7, where Paul was also unable to play, something historic happened. Historically bad. The Houston had a very unique style of play. Coach Mike D'Antoni put the plan in of a 3-pointer or a layup. All of the Houston Rockets shots were either a 3-pointer or a layup or a James Harden free throw. There's a saying that goes around the basketball world, and you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And in Game 7, the Rockets comically died. They would miss 27 straight 3-pointers, which allowed Golden State to win and advance to their 3rd straight NBA Finals. In 2019, the Rockets would continue to do what they do, as James Harden had a spectacular season, and they would win 53 games. And after taking care of the Jazz in round 1, they would have a rematch with the Warriors in round 2. Houston would drop the first 2 games in Golden State, but then bounce back and win both in Houston to tie the series at 2. In Game 5, the Warriors would hit 3 straight 3-pointers in the late 4th to seal the win, but Kevin Durant would unfortunately go down with a calf injury at the time during the game. Back in Houston in Game 6, Steph Curry would have a moment. After going scoreless in the first half, he bounced back with 10 points in the 3rd, then put on a show with 23 points in the 4th quarter with some clutch shot making to win the game and eliminate the Rockets again. After multiple tries and failures at reaching the NBA Finals with this team, the Rockets decided that they needed to take another big swing and change things up. So, they went and got Russ, who was a former teammate of Harden's, someone younger than Paul, and someone who can come in and give a different look to this Rockets team. To start his Rockets tenure, it was definitely an adjustment having to play with Harden, who just came off having one of the greatest offensive seasons ever. To accommodate Russ, a move was made, as the Rockets would trade longtime center Clint Capella to the Atlanta Hawks, which opened up more opportunities for Westbrook to get to the basket and fix a lot of the spacing. In the first 33 games of the season, Russ averaged 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. Then, in his last 24 games of the season, he exploded to average almost 31 points per game with 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and almost 2 steals, as his shooting splits jump up from 43% from the field and 23% from 3 to 52% from the field and 34% from 3. He would finish the year averaging over 27 points per game with just under 8 rebounds and 7 assists, while shooting a career-high 47% from the field, as the Rockets finished 4th in the West with 44 wins. Going into the playoffs, Russ would unfortunately not be healthy, as he suffered a strained right quad muscle that forced him to miss 4 of the last 5 games of the regular season and the first 4 games of the first-round series against his former team, the Thunder. Russ would come back in Game 5 of a 2-2 series, where he had just 7 points in 23 minutes, but Houston would win by 34 to take a 3-2 lead. OKC responded with a clutch win in Game 6 to force a Game 7. In the 7th game, Russ had 20 points and 9 rebounds to be one of 3 Rockets to score 20 and win to advance to the next round. The journey would end there, as they matched up with the Lakers in the second round and lost in 5 games, as Westbrook averaged just under 20 points per game with 7 rebounds and 5 assists, while shooting 42% from the field and 26% from 3, as the Lakers would go on to win the championship. After the 2020 season, the Rockets were in a very tough place. They had multiple great chances of doing something special with great regular season teams, but couldn't get it done, and especially after back-to-back second-round exits, people started losing trust in Houston. General Manager Daryl Morey and Coach Mike D'Antoni were both let go after the season. And during the offseason, both Russell Westbrook and James Harden requested trades. Westbrook cited the concerns of how casual the Rockets were with where they are and that he wanted to play his own game.
Major trade in the NBA. Quite a headline anyway. Rockets have agreed to trade Russell Westbrook to Washington for John Wall and a protected first in 2023. Wall hasn't played since the day after Christmas of 2018 and has 3 years and more than $132 million left on his contract.
On December 2nd, 2020, the Rockets traded Russell Westbrook to the Washington Wizards in exchange for John Wall and a 2023 first-round pick. Let's talk about the Wizards for a second. The Washington Wizards in the mid-2010s looked like one of the next up-and-coming teams in the league. They were led by star point guard John Wall, who they drafted with the first pick back in 2010 and had a nice start to his career. In 2014, the Wizards would take a leap, jumping from winning 29 games to 44 games and making the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Wall would make his first All-Star team that year, as he also built a great team around him. Third overall pick Bradley Beal was making a big impact early, and vets like Trevor Ariza, Nene, and Marcin Gortat were really helping improve this team. In the postseason, they won their first playoff series since 2005 by defeating the Bulls in 5 games, but then ended up losing to the Indiana Pacers in 6 in the second round. In 2015, they would continue to improve, winning 46 games. With the acquisition of guys like Paul Pierce and Chris Humphries, they were going in on making this a consistent playoff team. They swept the Toronto Raptors in the first round, but would lose to the 60-win Atlanta Hawks in the second round. 2016 was a down year, as they finished 41-41 and missed the playoffs. But they would bounce back big in 2017, as they won 49 games, their highest mark since 1979. John Wall would make All-NBA third team, Bradley Beal took a big step by averaging 23, and this team was rolling. They would once again win their first-round matchup, beating the Hawks in 6 games, but lost to the Celtics in a tough 7-game series in round 2. Washington would find a way to make the playoffs again in 2018, despite John Wall only playing in half the season due to a left knee surgery. Bradley Beal became an All-Star, and the Wizards won 43 games, but they would lose to the Raptors in 6 in the opening round. This is where things started going down for the Wizards. After playing just 32 games in the 2019 season, Wall would suffer a left heel injury that would force him to miss the rest of the season as the Wizards really struggled. A lot of supporting cast on those playoff teams were out the door, and the Wizards dropped to a 32-50 record. 2020 would get even worse, as Wall had to miss the entire season due to a tear in his left Achilles, and besides Bradley Beal averaging 30, there was no bright spot for Washington anywhere, as they won just 25 games. Going into the summer of 2020, the Wizards decided to pull the trigger on bringing in Russ to maybe spark some new life in this team. With Wall's sideline and him also being upset with the team, they made the swap to see if this could resurrect them. At this point, things are getting interesting for Westbrook. He'd be on his 3rd team in 3 years. He was now getting sent to Washington, a place that had quickly become a dark spot in the NBA. Many thought that this might be the start of the decline for Westbrook, and that there would be no hope for anything going well over there. In his Wizards debut, Westbrook finished with 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 15 assists on 9 for 22 shooting, and a loss to the 76ers. He logged a triple-double in each of his first 4 games at Washington, but the Wizards would start 0-5. In his first 10 games of the season, Russ averaged just under 19 points per game on 38, 33, 65 shooting splits, but was still giving them 9 rebounds and over 9.5 assists, as the Wizards were struggling, going 3-12 with the worst record in the league. He would have his first big breakout game on January 31st against the Nets and his former teammate, Kevin Durant. He would score 19 in the first half as the Wizards trailed by 6. In the fourth quarter, Westbrook and Beal would go off, combining for 37 points in the period, almost outscoring the Nets by themselves. After trailing by 9 with just under 5 minutes left, Washington would go on a 20-11 run fueled by the two guards to tie the game. After some back and forth scoring, Bradley Beal hit a 3 to cut the lead to 2. Then, off an inbound steal by Garrison Matthews, Russ would take a confident 3 that fell for the Wizards to steal the win. Westbrook finished with 41 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists while shooting 16 for 28 and made 4 threes as he and Beal combined for 78. Westbrook were playing 5 of the next 7 games, with Washington going 0-5 in those games. But in the 2 games that he missed, they would get close wins over Miami and Chicago on the road. Russ was struggling with the Wizards, really looking like it wasn't a fit early on, and the team having 4 of their 6 wins without him on the court was something many people saw and criticized, saying he wasn't a winning player and maybe it was a detriment to the team. That talk shut up very quickly, as the Wizards got hot, winning 7 of their next 8 games, with Russ appearing in all of them as he wouldn't miss a game for the rest of the season. In these 8 games, Westbrook averaged almost 19.5 points per game with over 11.5 rebounds and 11.5 assists as he had 5 triple-doubles during that stretch. These games included a 13-point, 9-rebound, 11-assist game against the Celtics, where despite shooting 6 for 19, he was a season-high plus 27 in the win. A 27-point, 11-rebound, 13-assist game where he shot 11 for 17 from the field in the win over Portland, and a 32-point, 14-rebound, 9-assist game that included a clutch layup in overtime to beat the Lakers. The Wizards jumped from the worst record in the league to 13-19, which was 12th in the East and just 2 games behind the last play-in spot as a 10th seed. Everyone thought that this would be the turnaround for the Wizards, as Russ and Beal were starting to find their groove together, and maybe something nice could happen this year. After this hot streak, Washington will fall right back to the bottom. They would lose 10 of their next 12 games to drop to a 15-28 record, and were closer to the 15 seed than the 10 seed. Westbrook still had some good games, including dropping a season-high 42 points along with 10 rebounds and 12 assists on 16 for 32 shooting and a loss to the Wolves. It was a rough time for the Wizards, as they were going through many injuries to some of their rotational players and put even more work on the shoulders of Beal and Westbrook. They would win their next game against Detroit with a 19-19-10 triple-double from Westbrook. Then their next game against the Pacers, history was made. At the end of the third quarter, Russ would secure his 10th rebound of the game, marking his 16th triple-double of the season, making him the new franchise leader in triple-doubles in Wizards history in just his 38th game with the team, breaking Darrell Walker's record. Westbrook would finish with 35 points, 14 rebounds, and 21 assists, helped the Wizards win, their first time winning back-to-back games in a month. Washington would then lose their next 4 games, dropping to a 17-32 record and 4 games behind the play-in. With 22 games left in the season and time slowly running out on this team, Russ decided to take matters into his own hands. He would give a heartfelt speech and promise to his team, a promise to make the postseason. We all know how fiery and ferocious of a personality and style of play Russ has, and to see him use it to try and inspire his team must have sent waves throughout the organization. Russ did not want to be a part of another disappointing team and miss out on the playoffs. The speech most definitely worked. After that 4-game losing streak that dipped into the first 3 games of April, the rest of the month would belong to Washington. The Wizards would go 12-2 in the rest of the 14 games in April, including an 8-game win streak in the middle to show the NBA world that they were here and ready. Westbrook would average almost 21 points per game with almost 13.5 rebounds and over 12.5 assists, including 12 triple-doubles in that 14-game run. He would have some big games in this stretch. These included a 23-point, 14-rebound, 15-assist game on 8 for 11 shooting to snap the prior 4-game losing streak against the Magic, a 25-point, 14-rebound, 14-assist game in Utah where he hit a mid-range jumper to seal the game and start the 8-game win streak, a clutch game against the Pelicans where he made a layup to send the game to overtime, then had 10 points in the extra period, including the game-winning free throws as they finished with 36, 15, and 9. A game against the Warriors where he helped Washington have a huge fourth quarter to win the game, as he had 14 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists, and a game back in Oklahoma City where he put on a show, finishing with 37, 11, and 11 on 14 for 23 shooting and a 20-point win. Westbrook and the Wizards were hooping as they jumped to a 29-34 record, now holding on to that final play-in spot. It wasn't just that they were winning, it was that they were fun. The things that Russ was doing really captivated NBA fans and put him back in the good spotlight of the league. He was getting praised everywhere for the show he was putting on at Washington, and was truly getting his respect as one of the best in the league, especially with the triple-doubles. NBA fans were rooting for Russ, as it would have been a great story to see him lead a team that was at the bottom of the league to start the season to their first postseason appearance in a few years. Heading into the last month of the season, there were 9 games left, and the Wizards still were holding off the Raptors and the Bulls by 3.5 games, while also being just a half game behind the Pacers and a game and a half behind the Hornets. They were right in the middle of a tight Eastern Conference playoff race, with every game mattering. They would start May off with a game in Dallas, where Dorian Finney-Smith would make a 3-pointer with 9 seconds left, then Bradley Beal would miss the game winner, and the Wizards would lose despite Westbrook tying his season high with 42 points along with 10 rebounds and 9 assists. In the next game, the Wizards would win an offensive battle against the Pacers, winning 154 to 141, as Russ finished with just 14 points, but had a career high 21 rebounds and tied his career high with 24 assists to be a plus 21. In their next game in Milwaukee, Russ and Beal would have big games, including Westbrook scoring 13 in the fourth quarter. Brook Lopez would get a putback dunk to give the Bucks a 4-point lead. Then, Westbrook would find Beal for a 3-pointer, and on the final possession, Russ would get the steal, but they wouldn't get a great look off to drop another 1-point game as Westbrook finished with 29, 12, and 17. The next game in Toronto, despite Russ having a rough game, shooting just 5 for 19 and fouling out in overtime, the Wizards bench would have a great game and win by 2 as Westbrook had 13, 17, and 17. Their next game in Indiana, it would come down to the wire. Russell would make a layup to take a 2-point lead with 21 seconds left. Then, Caris LeVert would respond by making a layup of his own to tie the game. Westbrook would miss a jumper at the buzzer and the game would go to overtime. Russell would have a huge extra period, scoring 6 of the 9 points for the Wizards, including 2 free throws to take the lead, and then blocked LeVert's 3 to win the game and finish with 33, 19, and 15. This one was big, putting themselves above the Pacers to grab the 9 seed, and was still just a game behind Charlotte for the 8 seed. This game by Westbrook was his 5th consecutive triple-double, his 35th of the season, and the 181st of his career, which tied Oscar Robertson for the most in NBA history. In 3 games, he needed just 1 triple-double to eclipse the Big O and stamp himself into more NBA history. They would play the Hawks in Atlanta. With 8.5 minutes left in the game,
Gallinari. The fadeaway. And there it is. History. Russell Westbrook has just surpassed Oscar Robertson. It lasted 47 years, and now Russell Westbrook stands there all alone.
Russell Westbrook would grab his 10th rebound, securing a triple-double and officially becoming the king of the triple-double, setting legendary NBA history. Russ really cemented himself as one of the greatest of all time and was shown deserved respect and love around the basketball world for this amazing accomplishment. The night wouldn't go all in his favor, though, as he would miss the game-winning shot, as Washington would lose by 1 point for the 3rd time in the last 6 games. Westbrook finished the game with 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 21 assists. They would have to face Atlanta again the next game, and they would blow a 13-point fourth-quarter lead to drop another close game, despite Westbrook having 34 points and 15 assists. With 2 games left in the season, Washington was slightly slipping, falling back down to 10th, a game behind Indiana and Charlotte. They needed some wins to build some momentum and go into these tough playing games with something. The next game, Westbrook got 21, 12, and 17 with a plus 20 to beat Cleveland by 15. In the final game of the season, a big one against the Hornets, he helped Washington have a huge fourth quarter, finishing with 23, 15, and 10 to win the game and get the 8th seed. In the final month of the season, Westbrook averaged over 26 points per game with almost 14 rebounds and 16 assists per game with 7 triple-doubles. For the season, Russell Westbrook averaged 22 points per game with a career-high 11.5 rebounds and a career-high 11.7 assists, which led the NBA. He finished with 38 triple-doubles, averaging his 4th one in the past 5 seasons and becoming the all-time leader in triple-doubles. It was such a fun season, having huge moments, bringing this Wizards team to having an entertaining second half of the season and going from last place to a chance at the playoffs. Going into the play-in, they had a matchup against the 7th seed Boston Celtics. Boston struggled in the second half of the season. They were dealing with many injuries, including Jaylen Brown being out for the season with a torn ligament in his wrist. After a close first half, Boston would outscore Washington 66-46 in the second half to win by 18, as Jason Tatum would dominate with 50 points, while Kemba Walker chipped in with 29. Westbrook finished with 20 points and 14 rebounds, while shooting 6 for 18 from the field with 5 fouls and 4 turnovers. Because they were the 8th seed, they got one more chance to punch their ticket. They would battle with the 9th seed Indiana Pacers, who took out the Hornets in the first game. Washington knew that this was it right now, a chance to make the postseason in front of them, and they couldn't let this slip away. The Wizards would dominate this game, having a lead as big as 38, and winning 142-115, clinching the 8th seed and making the NBA playoffs. Westbrook would have 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 15 assists while being a game-high plus 30 in this one, as he delivered on his promise to bring Washington to the postseason. This was a big moment for Westbrook, showing that he's still great, still being able to lead a team and capping off this historic season with taking a team that not many people believed in to great heights. He got MVP votes this season, but didn't make the All-Star team or an All-NBA appearance. Going to the playoffs, the Wizards would match up with the number 1 seeded Philadelphia 76ers and MVP runner-up Joel Embiid. In Game 1, Washington came out the gate playing well, leading by 1 at halftime despite Tobias Harris's huge 28 points. The Sixers would get it together in the third, with Embiid and Seth Curry combining for 24 in the quarter, while Bradley Beal was the only source of offense for the Wizards, scoring 17. Washington had opportunities in the fourth, but couldn't get over the hump, losing by 7. Westbrook finished with 16 points, 14 assists, and 5 rebounds, while Bradley Beal dropped 33. Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid combined for 67, while Ben Simmons had 15 boards and 15 assists. Philly would take control from there, winning Game 2 by 25 and Game 3 by 29 to take a 3-0 series lead. Everyone knew that the Wizards wouldn't win this series, and especially going down 3-0, it was understandable that the Wizards just didn't have a good enough team to take on the 76ers. But they wouldn't go down without a fight. In Game 4, the Wizards finally kept it close, only down by 1 at the half as Westbrook had 10 rebounds and 10 assists, making things happen. Then, Washington would turn up in the third, outscoring the Sixers 32-19 to lead by 12. The Sixers wouldn't go away, as they tied the game with just under 2.5 minutes left. With the season on the line, the Wizards wouldn't back down. Russ had 2 assists on huge dunks down the stretch, and Rui Hachimura hitting big shots and Russ making 3 key free throws, the Wizards would win Game 4 to stay alive. Westbrook had a bad shooting night, going 3 for 19 from the field, but he would keep attacking, making 13 of his 16 free throws and grabbing 21 rebounds while dishing out 14 assists. They would try again in Game 5, trailing by just 2 at halftime as Russ had 14, 5, and 7. But the Sixers wouldn't let them have a big third quarter again, as they would outscore Washington 64-49 in the second half to win Game 5 and eliminate the Wizards. Westbrook finished the series averaging 19 points, 10 rebounds, and almost 12 assists, averaging a triple-double in the playoffs for the second time in his career, along with his MVP season in 2017 in their first round against Houston. After the season, the Wizards decided to go in another direction. On August 6, 2021, the Wizards would send Russell Westbrook to the Lakers in a huge 5-team deal that ended the Westbrook era in Washington. While it was only for one season, and people might look back on it like it didn't matter in his career, Russell Westbrook on the Wizards was a phenomenon that deserves to be talked about. He was truly special to watch, leading a pretty bad Wizards team from the worst team in the NBA to a playoff appearance, which he promised and delivered on, while having some insane stat lines and performances and setting the record in triple-doubles. How much more can you ask of it this season? Obviously, he'll always be an OKC Thunder player when we talk about his career and legacy, but you talk about the entirety of his career and what he did, I honestly don't think you can talk about him without bringing up his Wizards season, because it's one of the most historic and legendary things he accomplished in his Hall of Fame career. And yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was very, very, very fun to make, to go back and watch these clips, and remember just how insane it was to watch this live while it was happening. It was really, really awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it all the way through, I appreciate you a lot. This took a little bit of work to make, writing out a script and finding the clips and all that stuff, so I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, comment down below, share this with other people, let people know about it, because this is very, very fun to make, and I'm expecting to do a little bit more of some of these type of videos during the offseason. I already got some other things and plans, and ideas and scripts written out for these videos, so stay tuned for those. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a whole lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.